This is a stimulus check update and daily news report. Got some big breaking news. President Biden has extended the stimulus provision of student loan freeze for a few more months. Republicans are stepping up their flirtation and trying to woo Joe Manchin to the GOP. Meanwhile, Democrats are trying to still pass the Build Back Better with Joe Manchin included in the negotiations, and they're trying to get President Biden to pass executive actions for some parts of the Build Back Better Act. I'll give you the latest stimulus check articles like this. Millions of surprise stimulus payments worth up to $125 are being sent out. Here's how to file yours. And this one, thousands of families start receiving up to $3,000 stimulus checks. Can you get help? And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below. And I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video. But first, Biden administration extends payment pause for student loan borrowers until May 1st. So this is a big deal because a lot of Democrats were putting pressure on President Biden. Looks like he fell under the pressure. Here's some more details of what's going on.
And we have breaking news from the White House. The president has just announced he's extending the pause on federal student loan repayments. NBC's Monica Alba is back with me from the White House. Monica, we didn't let you get away very far. A lot of news coming today. Talk to me about the student loans and just extending this. It was supposed to expire January 31st.
This is a really significant development, Andrea. When the president first came into office, he directed the payments be put on pause through August. Then later in the summer, they determined they were going to extend that again as Delta was surging to the end of January, as you point out. And now the president is saying an additional 90 days will go into effect for this pause. So this punts it all the way to May 1st, 2022. And of course, this is something that the administration had been under pressure to make a decision about, given what we're seeing with the economy. And this affects more than 41 million Americans who really felt they wanted this breathing room to continue to figure out what the president and this administration may do overall when it comes to student loans. And it is something that the Department of Education is reviewing with borrowers to see if they're going to make some changes. Of course, there have been many advocates, many Democratic lawmakers even, who've asked the president to consider forgiving up to a certain amount of these loans, potentially $10,000, maybe more. Some have called, of course, for the entirety of it. So this just gives the president, the White House, and the Department of Education more time to figure that out, while people, again, take more time, given, of course, all of the pressure and the unknowns of what the Omicron variant will mean for our uneven economic recovery, Andrea.
What are your thoughts on student loans being extended until May 1st? No interest or payments are due until May 1st for federal student loan borrowers. Is this a good idea, bad idea? Do you have student loans? Are you relieved about this? Let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below. So it's back to Manchin mania. Joe Manchin is getting so much attention now. Republicans woo Joe Manchin as Senator clashes with Democrats. We have another headline right here. GOP steps up flirtation with Manchin. So I have way too many video clips of Republicans talking about Joe Manchin, how they want him to go to the Republican Party. Too many to show in this video, but I'm going to share with just one of them with you of what they're saying about Joe Manchin and how he may or may not go to the Republican Party. Check this out.
President Biden still hopeful Joe Manchin will come around despite the West Virginia senators' stunning rejections of his party's spending plan.
So did Senator Manchin break his commitment to you?
Senator Manchin and I are going to get something done. Thank you.
So, but as Manchin faces backlash from Democrats, some Republican lawmakers have a solution.
He doesn't fit well over there. We certainly welcome him to join us if he were so inclined.
We would welcome him with open arms in our party.
I hope he does. I've asked him to.
I really believe he would be happier in the Republican Party.
And Jeff Andrew would know that he did. He switched, as did the governor of West Virginia. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher. Congressman, always great to see you. Do you think there's a shot at changing his mind, especially with the backlash that he got for standing up for his state?
Well, I think it's unlikely. It is Christmas, so anything's possible, but I suspect even Santa is not that generous to us. Maybe the only thing that could convince him to switch or register as an independent and caucus with the Republicans, which is far more likely, is if the left, the far left, continues this relentless demonization of Joe Manchin. And I do think, I was listening to your segment about Aaron Rodgers, and obviously, I represent Titletown USA here. I do think that issue illustrates just how authoritarian the modern left is right now, and not open to free speech or dissent of any kind. And I think that relentless pressure turns off a lot of people who may not be card-carrying Republicans, are simply patriotic Americans that want to speak their mind and don't feel like, the science is settled on every single issue and we have to genuflect to the patron St. Anthony Fauci every single day. So maybe that convinces him, but I think it's unlikely. I suspect Mitch McConnell has offered him every single committee chairmanship that exists in the United States Senate.
And one of the examples of what you're saying, Bill Maher, as liberal as it gets, but he sounds like he's doing Tucker Carlson's monologue sometimes. Meanwhile, just keep in mind, no high-fiving or dancing in the end zone yet. Evidently, Manchin did propose universal pre-K, an expansion of the Affordable Care Act, hundreds of billions in green energy dollars spending, and a totaling of $1.8 trillion, and they rejected it. If they go back and accept it, all of a sudden it'll look as though Joe Biden got his socialistic agenda.
So is it going to happen? Is Joe Manchin going to switch parties? I'll keep you updated of what happens with that. So House progressives beg Biden to enact parts of $2 trillion spending bill. So Democrats know that they're not going to be able to pass it because Joe Manchin is still not on board with that Build Back Better Act, which has all of those stimulus provisions in it. So what they're trying to do is try to get President Biden to maybe pass a few of them through executive action as soon as possible, because Joe Manchin is not playing ball with him. So progressives demand Biden act alone to implement agenda after Manchin kills massive spending bill. So here's a statement put out by the Progressive Caucus, saying today, the elected leadership of Congressional Progressive Caucus is calling on President and all Democrats who believe in the need for the Build Back Better for climate, care, immigrants, and those seeking economic dignity and opportunity to come together and deliver for the American people. That means a whole of government approach. In Congress, we will continue to prioritize legislative path for Build Back Better. In the meantime, the White House must continue to act on a parallel track by using the president's incredibly powerful tool of executive action. So they don't say which provision specifically. They're not saying pass A, B, and C for the president through executive action, but they're just calling on President Biden to do some things through executive action. We don't know what, no details yet, but past few days, that's what they've been saying. Here is Pramila Jayapal talking more about Manchin and the Build Back Better Act, as well as executive action.
Your reaction to Mitch McConnell saying he admires Joe Manchin and he thinks the solution to Joe Manchin's problem is for him to, quote, come across the aisle and join us where he would be treated with respect. What's your reaction to Mitch McConnell's public invitation to Joe Manchin to join the Republican Party?
Well, McConnell has been courting Joe Manchin for a long time. It's no secret that Joe Manchin won as a Democrat in a state that Trump won by a lot. And one of the first time I met Senator Manchin, we started with just talking about us. He asked me about me and I asked him about him, and he talked to me about his district and how he's, I think maybe the only Democrat there that's been elected, and what that means for him. And so obviously, I think Mitch McConnell has been courting Joe Manchin a lot. But I do think that at the end of the day, Joe Manchin is choosing to run as a Democrat. He is, of course, on a very different place in the Democratic spectrum than I am. But I respect that he is choosing to run as a Democrat, and I hope that he understands, and I believe he does. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he wants the president to be successful, and that he wants Democrats to be successful, and that he is a Democrat, that he's chosen to be in the Democratic Party. And that, I hope, is what is going to get us across the finish line with Build Back Better, because we, Lawrence, have a multitude of seats across the country, and frontliners have been at the forefront, actually, along with progressives, of pushing for Build Back Better, because they want to go home and tell their moms that they're going to have childcare, and they want to be able to tell people that they're going to pay $35 for insulin, and they want to be able to invest in housing, all of the things that are in Build Back Better. And I think that is really, really important for Senator Manchin to understand. He's not just voting for himself. He is voting for the country. He is voting for Joe Biden. And he is voting for all of us in the House that have to run every 2 years. And I think he wants us to understand his position. We certainly want him to understand ours, which is why his commitment to the president on that framework was so very important, because it was a direct commitment to the president of the United States, who then made a public and direct commitment to progressives and to the country that we were going to get this framework, the equivalent of that framework, passed and Build Back Better.
And the saga continues. Looks like Build Back Better on the back burner, but Joe Manchin still included in the negotiations through a secret emergency meeting that the Democrats had, which Joe Manchin was a part of. Still, no news means no good news if Joe Manchin is a part of these negotiations and not saying that he's on board yet. After all of the pressure tactics, looks like Joe Manchin is still a no, so we'll see what happens with all that. I'll keep you updated. Next, I'm going to give you the latest stimulus check articles. So millions of surprise stimulus payments worth up to $125 are being sent out. Here's how to file for yours. So this is going to Indiana residents. Indiana residents will receive the cash boost thanks to the state's approximately $4 billion in reserves, 23% of its general fund. So Indiana had a surplus, and therefore most Indiana residents who file their taxes are going to get a $125 check when they file their taxes. Then we have this one. Americans have just days to claim a $1,400 stimulus check. Are you eligible? So this is talking about the plus up payments. If you did not receive your plus up payment, you have until December 31st to file your taxes, and then you get the difference of the $1,400 check. Not an entire $1,400 check, but if your income changed from 2019 to 2020, I believe that's it, right? Do I have the dates right? Yes. Then you get that plus up payment. Then we have this one right here. Thousands of families start receiving up to $3,000 stimulus checks. Can you get help? So the stimulus checks are part of the Seattle Relief Fund, which have gone out to nearly 9,400 residents. So the way it broke down is, let's see, the city has provided $1,000 to 5,585 adults, $2,000 to 827 two-adult households, and $3,000 to 2,980 households with children, adult dependents. So, as I mentioned, on a daily basis, there's always different state and city stimulus checks, but not necessarily a fourth general stimulus check yet. And that is all the stimulus news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I'm going to tell you how I made these masks. So, first off, how I made these is took strips. Like, take a ruler and stuff and like do it like up to like 5 and stuff. And then you like take a sock and stuff and like trim all the other sides, and then you trim through it. And then you make little holes, as you see that is inside, and then you strip the clay stuff, and then you strip the strands onto the mask holes, and then that's how you make your mask.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, giving out those $200 checks in just a couple of days on the 26th. So details to that down in the description below. Here's some little video clips of the kids from a while ago. And also, if you want to check out my latest video on my Wise Vibes channel, click up here. It's Kevin Hart. He's known for his comedy, but he actually has a lot of wisdom. So here are the 7 success tips from Kevin Hart. Give some really good wisdom there. So check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Be safe. Thank you for watching.